Is everybody sick right now?
Mariela, everybody.
You've been sick for like months, I feel.
I've been sick for months, and I think I have finally gotten over the last part of this. But yeah, this past week I had a fever of 103.
Like a baby.
And just that you know, you should go to a hospital if you have a fever of 103. They don't.
Should you? Were you hallucinating? I feel, baby.
Yeah, I was. We went, absolutely, I was. I could have a whole podcast on the symbolisms that God gave me in my hallucinations. And
but of course, it included a KitchenAid mixer because
it had a KitchenAid stand mixer in it. And it was really bad. Like, I'm still like, my stomach is still queasy. And other than that, I feel really good. But we need soup because everybody's been really sick. And at least here in the DC area, it has been snowing all day.
That is so nice. But also it makes you sick, I think, being in the cold all the time and wet. I know it's an old wives' tale and it's really microbes or whatever the fuck that makes you sick.
I've always wondered, is it like an old wives' tale? Is that like what our Cuban mothers told us? Is that like something broad? Like,
I don't know if it's broad because I only have the one experience, but I feel like it's obviously you get colds from viruses and bacteria or whatever the fuck scientific thing there is. But I don't think it helps to just be cold and wet all the time. You know, it sucks. It makes you feel like shit just in general. And here it's been like cooler with no sun. It's been kind of dreary, which I personally enjoy. But I too got sick last week and I had to take antibiotics. Like it's going around.
Yeah.
So because of that, we're not here to just bitch about it like old women, like Eric does.
Well, when you've been around Mariela long enough, you know what it's like to be around an old bitch.
I'm not even going to argue with you because you're right.
That's right.
But I thought I would talk about soup because there's nothing better than soup. And it's like scientifically proven, right? That it helps you to feel better.
I think the scientific part of it just has to do with like everything you put in the soup tends to be really nutrient dense.
Right.
So,
and it's hydrating.
And not only that, if you go back multiple episodes and make our delicious broth to make your soup in, even your broth is vegetable packed, it's protein packed. And so
collagen.
Yeah, collagen. I was going to say collagen. And so I think it was something a while back I was either reading or watching, but they were saying that there is a scientific reason to why chicken soup actually helps. And it's because everything in it is nutrient dense, but it doesn't always taste good.
No, listen, I don't want to say I've never, because now I'm better at it, but soup wasn't something that came naturally to me because my mom is the queen of soup. She can make soup with like a shoe and a cigarette and it would be delicious. Like she just has a knack for it. Right. So I always measured myself up against that. And she always made it in the pressure cooker. So I would try to mimic it and it was always horrendous until I started making it the way I'm going to talk about today.
Tell me.
So you take your biggest soup pot and I like to start with chicken broth, which generally doesn't taste like anything. Am I wrong here?
It's just, it's flavored liquid.
It has no fucking salt. Like even if it has a lot of milk.
You mean like the boxed one?
Yeah, the boxed one.
Like from the grocery store. Even the one with salt, it's horrible because you end up adding salt. Yeah. And you really should not because there's a fuck ton.
Because it's salty.
Yeah, there's a fuck ton in there.
But okay, so again, I'm going to say this. The Good and Gather chicken broth is my favorite from Target. It tastes good, not yet sponsored, but really so good. I get the big fat box. It's like 32 ounces or something like that. I plug it into there. I pour it into the pot and then I add like 2 or 3 chicken thighs. Chicken thighs are the best to make soup with because they have lots of fat. Lots of little bones in there and all that shit. I don't really like the meat so much, but they do render the most flavor in soup. So check it out. These are all basic things, right? You put in the chicken and I get about 2 or 3 carrots. I like to peel my carrots for soup because I don't know. I feel like all those weird impurities, you're going to be drinking them in the broth. So I like to peel them. I cut them. I cut about an onion, sometimes more if I'm feeling into it. I'll put in a few handfuls of garlic, cloves, maybe 3 or 4. Oh, celery. I like to put in celery as well, like 2 or 3 stalks. And then I let it boil. I'm cooking the chicken, but I'm also rendering flavor from all these vegetables. And that'll go for like 45 minutes. If I have more time, I'll put it in for more. Oh, and you know what else I put in? Chicken bouillon, which, we have a secret love affair.
There's a romance.
Yes.
That we have with chicken bouillon.
Which we'll be discovering together on our saucy Saturday.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So I throw all that shit in there. It starts to boil. And when I notice the chicken is nice and tender, this is what I do. This is what the secret part of this entire thing is. Are you ready, Eric?
Tell me.
I like soup that has a little body to it. And my mom always has a way of doing that. And I don't know how she does it, but I discovered this. You take the chicken out and you can take it off the bone if you want, because if you want chicken in your soup, or you can just discard it. Then I take all the vegetables and I puree them with a little bit of the stock in my blender, and I make it into like a puree. And then I add it back into the liquid.
Yeah.
This makes the most viscous, like hearty, stick to your ribs kind of consistency of a soup that is still soupy, but it has some body. Right. And my God. And then I always boil noodles separately. I hate when people put noodles in soup, because then you can't put it away. Or if you let it sit for too long, the noodles just suck up all the good stuff.
Suck up all the liquid in the soup.
Yeah, it really annoys the shit out of me. So I'll make egg noodles, or like the little skinny matchstick ones. I don't know what they're called.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I have no idea what they're called.
Right? But they're delicious. And then I'll make them separate. And what I'll do is I'll cook them, and then I'll drain them. I'll put them in a bowl, and then I'll put a little bit in each cup or whatever I'm serving that day. Put some of the broth in there. Top it with a little chicken. Sometimes a little bit of hot sauce if I need something to wake me up a little bit. And that's it. But it is really good chicken soup.
So do you leave some of the vegetables not in the puree so you can have like some of the vegetables to chew on also?
No, I don't, but you could for sure do that.
I like doing that.
Yeah, you absolutely could. I just kind of want to sip. Like if I'm feeling like shit, I don't even want to chew, honestly. I just want to like slurp a little bit, cuddle up and drink my soup. And like the noodles are for chewing in my house.
If you know what I like in my chicken soup? I like potatoes.
Potatoes. That's very Cuban.
It is, because I love chicken soup with potatoes, and then you squeeze some lime on top of it.
That's super Cuban. Yes.
It is that's like, to me growing up, that was the only good tasting chicken soup. Because if my mother made chicken soup, she's not a chicken soup maker, it tasted horrible. But if you go to like Latin America, La Carreta, and like you get the chicken soup with potatoes and you squeeze lime on it.
So good. The lime is so good.
I think the lime adds a freshness to it, and it just adds some extra vitamins. And
I agree with you. That is a very good touch that I often forget. You know what else is good? Malanga. I love malanga.
Malanga is really good in soup too. So like malanga is like, it's like a pumpkin, right?
No,
like a squash.
It's more like a potato.
Really?
But,
I think it's like a pumpkin. Like,
no, it doesn't fall apart like a pumpkin. It's more like like if a potato had a heart on. A creamy one.
I don't know what malanga Mariela has been eating or that served at their home growing up.
No, but like where a potato like falls apart, a malanga is more creamy. Wouldn't you say?
I guess.
It's definitely not like a pumpkin. Pumpkin falls apart.
I don't know why
stringy.
I think like pumpkin. I don't know. Right, a pumpkin's stringy, but I don't know why I think of it as one. Maybe it's part of the squash family. I don't know.
It's a root.
It's good though, and it is good in soups.
It's called taro root in English, malanga.
Is malanga taro root?
Yeah, you could Google it, but I'm pretty sure it's taro root.
Okay, I believe you.
So hold on, because I have to Google it now.
I'm Googling it too.
Okay, go for it. They're related and not the same, but very similar, I guess.
Like a pumpkin.
I don't know what the fuck pumpkin you're eating, okay? But that is not the case. Anyway, if you ever see it, it's like kind of a shape of, what would you call it, Eric? It looks kind of like poop.
Yeah, it's brown and almost like...
And hairy.
Hairy, right. Like say it's fuzzies on it. It's rough.
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
No, it sounds really ugly and horrible, but it is delicious. I promise you.
Yeah, you peel it like a potato, and it's a little bit slimy.
Yeah, I mean, you cook it basically like a potato too. Like
you boil it. Everybody
in between like a potato and a yuca.
Yeah, but I don't know if people know what a yuca is. I mean, that's like saying, another thing they don't know.
That's so true.
But it is yummy.
Hispanicness is coming out tonight.
Today you're super Hispanic. It's because you got sick. You go back to the roots when you get sick.
I need it. I feel like I gotta go home.
You do actually.
Yeah. I find soup very comforting. And so do you put the chicken back in it?
If you want it, you can.
What do you do?
I do. But for mine, like I'll keep it separate, like the noodles, because my kids don't like big chunks of chicken in their soup. Okay. And my husband doesn't like soup. The fuck is wrong with this?
Okay. So I'm going to tell you something.
No.
I gotta tell you this. So growing up in South Florida, living in South Florida till 28 years old, I did not like soup either. And then I moved to a cold climate. I've been, moving around in cold climates the past 15 years. I love soup.
Soup is delicious, so you don't need to be
But when I lived in hot climate, I did not like soup though.
This sounds like some elitist bullshit that you're talking about right
No,
now.
it sounds like the fucking truth. When it's hot outside, I don't want a steaming, piping bowl of hot liquid and vegetables in my face.
Bullshit. We had pho when I went last time and it was warmish outside.
Okay, you came in the fall that wasn't supposed to be warm, but you know.
By the way, I have been like having sexual dreams about that pho. I need to have it. Like as soon as I go
back. We'll go back and get some. When you come back, we'll go back and get some. It's good. And it's a little place that you would never really think.
Oh, it was, I really am.
Actually, we had some the other night.
Did you?
Because Ryan was sick also, so we had some the other night.
You guys are disgusting. You better clean up before I get over there. I don't want to get any of that shit you.
That's why you're coming. I want you to clean my place so you can get the sickness out, please.
I will. Open some windows and Clorox that shit.
You
I don't care who dies.
8 degrees outside.
Fuck it. It's worth it.
I'll go stay somewhere else for a day, but
yeah.
I like the idea of pulling it out and pureeing it.
I really like that because I feel like you actually eat the vegetables in every bite.
Yeah.
When you're sick, you're not really hungry. So this is a way I get to at least feed my kids lots of veggies and hydrate them when they're sick. And I do the same for myself. I
will say, I don't like dark meat, but if you're going to make things like broths or soups or stuff like that, it does produce because it is the fattiest and the most collagen-y.
It's the best.
Really quick, before we wrap this up soon, when my mother or grandmother used to make soup, I used to hate it because if they would make me chicken soup, they would still serve the chicken on the bone.
Oh, I hate that.
And I'm like, what the hell?
No, I know my mom too, but she stopped, but
she stopped.
She stops, but because it's nasty. Like who wants to, that's like people who leave the tail on the shrimp to serve it. Like really? Now I have a job? This doesn't make you mad?
Okay, only in certain shrimp dishes, but shrimp cocktail, number one, it has to have a tail on it because you have to pick it up by the tail. But if you're eating it like in a pasta dish or you're eating it in tacos, then obviously you don't want the tail on it.
I've had, what is that shit called? Like shrimp creole with tails. Like this. Yeah,
that's really annoying. But now that you mentioned this, don't ever make fun of my pre-peeled tangerines that I got at the grocery store ever again.
These two things have nothing to do with one another.
Because it's a first world issue because you go to other countries and guess what? They're going to serve you the shrimp is going to be in its entire fucking casing.
Why? No, they're not. They're going to peel it for you because what do you think people do? What are you, Kelly Osbourne, talking about how if we don't have Latinos, nobody will have a clean toilet?
No, listen to me. Listen, you know what? You'll believe me one day. Okay. But I will tell you this. That's just a first world issue. I do agree with it. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, but you know what? I buy pre-peeled tangerines.
Well, I don't mind peeling my own shrimp, just not while I'm supposed to be eating
just like I prefer minced garlic in a jar.
That's okay. I don't mind that. I don't personally like it, but I can see why people would.
You know that there was a test taste and the minced garlic in a jar like won.
Yeah, because it's not as pungent. It's more palatable.
Right. It has like the olive oil in it.
Oh, I wouldn't say it's olive oil. There's some kind of weird astringent.
I think it's olive oil.
Well, at least the ones I have bought, it's some weird acidy something.
Well, go to a real grocery store and I think they have like the olive oil one. Okay. Whatever corner market you're going to, apparently. Okay.
You know what this reminds me of?
Tell me.
That show, What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes.
And the vampire, I forgot his name. He's like, this fucking guy.
That show was awesome.
It still is. It should be coming back, right?
I hope so.
Anyway, okay. Well, you guys, I hope if you're not well, that you get well. And if you know someone who isn't, you make them this little soup. It won't take you too long. It's not expensive. And it's going to really help somebody get back on their feet.
Get better, guys.
If I lived near you, Keeter, I would have made it for you, I promised.
You know, I believe you. I don't believe you in many things, but I do believe you would have come.
Dick, I swear to God, even when I'm trying to be nice to your ass.
Well, because I've known you for so long, but I believe you with this one that you absolutely, even if you wouldn't have come in to see me because you can't get the children's sake, I totally believe you would have left soup on my doorstep.
1000%. I would have absolutely done it. So, and I hope you guys do it too. And we are so excited to talk to you about bouillon and all its massive uses on Saucy Saturday.
Yes.
And don't forget to leave us a review. You guys, we have reached like one of our milestone downloads and numbers. And we're so excited that you guys are digging us and we dig you. Keep it coming.
We love it.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.